Zor here from ZorGameGeek.com. Today we're going to have a video about washing or shading your miniatures. We're going to take those 3 skeletons that we did the base coating on in the last handful of videos, and now we're going to see what the difference is when you shade them, when you wash them. And I'm going to use 3 different shade colors on each of the, well, not 3 each, but 3 on each one on each one, 3 different. You know what I mean? If you want to learn more about beginning painter techniques and tips that I think that all beginning miniature painters should learn, know, and practice, go to zorgamegeek.com/5. Here's the video of washing. All right, we're going to now wash the skeletons. This is the yellowed bone colored skeleton. You can see here that I used the Vallejo Gory Red for the fletchings, and then the blue-gray also from Vallejo for the base. And now I'm just going to do a black wash over the entire miniature, and you're going to really see a big change here. And so washes are really thin paints that are designed to seep into the corners and deep spots of the miniature. And for this, I'm going to be using this Citadel shade brush, which is shading, washing, it's the same thing. So we're going to go ahead and get it a little bit wet. We're just going to suck up the paint, and I'm going to start here with the deeper areas and then work my way out. So this is a pretty dramatic change here. So I'm working out and I'm wicking away the excess shade, and I'm just covering the entire miniature. So you can see that I probably have too much here on the front, and that's okay, because I can pull it to the other parts of the miniature. So we want to just go ahead and wipe it. Get some more here. Since I've started this, I'm going to fresh batch. I'm going to bring it down here onto the base and really darken that up. And just trying to get this everywhere. You can already see that it has really punched up this miniature. Now I'm going to dry my brush off here a little bit, and then come in, and where I think there is too much, wick it back onto the brush. Because I think this base here has probably a little too much on it. And the heaviness is really a question of what you want this skeleton to look like. How dirty do you want it? How clean do you want it? But this is a black wash, so this is your highest contrast over the yellowed bone. So I'm trying to clean up the face here a little bit. But with all of the gradations here of the skeleton, you can really see that it has punched up and brought in a lot of depth here. trying to get a little bit more into this rib cage. The rib cage felt a little light. This back in here feels a little light. But it is also really darkened up. So there we have it. There is the wash for the yellowed. Now, of course, the tricky part here is if we were just doing one miniature, we could set this aside and let it dry on the stand. But since this bow has turned pretty dark, we'll see how much depth it actually gives once it dries. But that's okay, because it's just the bone. The bow, not the bone, just the bow. Okay, so next up is the, oops, just dropped the miniature into the black wash, so I had to dry it off here a little bit. This is the graveyard bone. You can kind of see there the graveyard bone versus the splintered bone. So we're going to do the graveyard bone next. And we're going to be using the umber wash or brown wash. So I'm going to get less of that in my palette because I did not need as much as I thought I was going to need. Just have a few drops there. Clean off my brush. Dry it off a touch. So we want to be able to suck up the shade. So now we have the brown tone on the graveyard bone. So clearly too much here on the front, but that's okay because I'm going to come around and wick it. I'm just going to cover the entire piece with this color. Again, this gives you the sense, since these are similar, not identical base coats. I would have needed probably 9 skeletons in a really long video to have identical base coats across all of them. To really show you each little fine permutation. So I'm gonna get some more and work on the base here. Oops. Keep on bumping the camera arm again with my brush. And then I want to wick away some of the excess here. And then move it to areas that I want to be a little bit more pronounced. All right, I think that's a pretty, gonna get those eyes really socked in. So that is the Boneyard Graveyard Bone, Boneyard Gray, Graveyard Bone, and the Umber Wash. And again, I'm just going to grab it here by the top. And then finally, we have the Splintered Bone, followed by the Sepia Wash, which is a very yellowed type of color. Get it really well mixed up. Get that onto my palette. palette. Clear off. And then suck it up into my brush. So this is going to be pretty dramatic because this is a very light colored off-white. So we're going to start there, and sepia is really good for making things look aged. So I'm trying to, let's tilt this a little bit so I have this more in front and stop hitting. In a way, by using the splintered bone and the sepia, I'm almost making it very similar to the yellowed bone that we started with the first skeleton. But that little spot back there where the paint from the oiled leather really bled into the rib cage, I cleaned it mostly up, but I knew that I was going to be using the sepia and that I didn't need to get it to be perfect because the sepia was going to be somewhat similar to that color. I'm gonna get back in there, and you want this to be in the recesses a little thicker. So when you're first getting this on your brush, having it pick those areas. Now we're using this yellow on top of this gray, and that makes this ground here look sickly and gross. Almost looks like vomit. And then we're going to come around and make sure that I got that a little heavy back there, so that's okay. We're going to come up and let's see here. Let's see if I can wick some of that away and use that here on the bow, because you want, if you're using this, you want it to look wet. So it looks like I need to get some down there, and that's okay. Down there in the Skeletons Unmentionables, it can be a little dark. Gonna get these teeth. So now we're coming through and we're picking up those parts that we think are a little heavy. So obviously washing is much faster than the base coat. So, but that really dirtied up that pristine, or not pristine, but white skeleton. As you can see here, that is a much different looking skeleton, and that is what washing looks like here. We're going to let this dry, and then we'll be back with the result of the washed skeletons once the wash is dry in about 10 minutes. All right, that's washing the 3 skeleton miniatures. Wow, that last one, the really light colored bone, splintered bone skeleton with the sepia shade, was a dramatic transformation from the start to the finish. But you can see the difference with all 3 of them that a little shading will do. So thanks for watching. If you want to learn more about how to paint miniatures, especially from a beginner standpoint, please go to zorgamegeek.com/5. That's zorgamegeek.com/5. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. I might have said that already. Keep gaming and keep painting.